So how did you, because you were kind of living, like you didn't have support at home, you didn't have, you were making risky decisions in life. Why was it that when you got that phone call from the doctors, why was it that you knew that you knew that you knew that you were going to have the baby? Like,
Jesus.
Yeah.
I didn't know it then, but I mean, it was 100% the Lord. Yeah, without a doubt. And I think, I think that as I stepped into the realization that there is a God, and I'll get to how that happened, I recognized that actually the Lord had been carrying me through all of that. Like, I actually should have been dead. Like, some of the decisions that I was making, I should have been dead. And I just know now without a doubt that actually the Lord was so present in my life. I just didn't see it and didn't know that he was there. But he was 100% with me the whole way. And I think that that's part of why I love him so much now. Like, now that I can see it, and it like blows my mind actually, because it's like, whoa, like, how did I miss this? Like, how did I not realize that you were with me, you know? And so, yeah, it was pretty crazy. So I just went through the pregnancy, slowly, like, just like accepted all of the things. I tried living with my mom, and I was with her for about a week after we had Dylan, and that wasn't a good situation. So we ended up moving with Andy's mom, and she was probably our biggest support, because without her, it would just been a lot harder than it was. So we did have a little bit of support there. But I'll never forget, like, when the day that we had him, which was actually this month, 21 years ago. So the day that he was placed in my arms, I'll just never forget. And I always, like, it just, I get emotional every time I think about it. Yeah, he was placed in my arms, and I saw him, and I immediately, my first thought was, like, there's a God. Like, there can't not be a God, because my completely crazy, like, the trajectory of my life, where I was going, like, I didn't do this on my own. There's something bigger than me that gave me this perfect little miracle. Like, and I knew in that moment that, like, things had to change. Like, and I'd already, like, through pregnancy, like, as soon as I found out I was pregnant, like, I stopped smoking, I stopped like, I became a mom that day. But then, like, when he was placed in my arms, I recognized that this was actually a gift from God that allowed me to move from that mess into something really beautiful. So when he was placed in my arms, and I was like, okay, there's something out there, and I need to explore that now. Like, I started praying that day. I was like, okay, I'm sorry that I, like, totally abandoned you. I know you're there. I don't know who you are. I don't know what that means, but I'm going to find out. So I just started exploring different religions. Like, I would go to the library and just read random books. I actually had the privilege of actually staying home with Dylan as a baby while Andy worked 2 jobs. And he went to school. So he was doing that while I was just raising our son. And so through that time, I was just learning about the faith and trying to process this new knowledge that I had been wrong my whole life and that there actually is something out there. And so through that, with having my dad's family that was Catholic, I kind of leaned on them. I had 2 cousins in the family that also had kids right around the same time as I did. They were married and doing all the right things. And so they were a great, like, resource for me as I'm mothering this new baby. And so watching them, and it intrigued me. But even with that, I was like, yeah, but I'm not going to become Catholic. I was like, that's not my thing. I don't agree with a lot of what that church teaches. I just am not interested in going that route. But as I studied and as I learned more, I kept being pulled back to it. Everything just pointed in that direction. And it got to the point where I was like, I actually can't deny the truth that this is the church that Jesus started. I was like, I actually have to be in that church because this is the church. Like, whether I like it or not, I'm going after truth right now because I had been so blind to the truth for so long. And that awakening in that moment where God just placed it in my heart, like, okay, I'm here, come after me. Like, it changed how I thought, and I was after the truth. Like, just fire. So, yeah. So as I'm learning and stuff, I got connected.
Is this immediately after Dylan's born? Like, this is like the same year he's born, right?
Yeah, within that same year, I'm starting to like just do a lot of the research and all of those things. I was taking it slow. I had a lot of like my dad's side of the family that was like pushing Andy and I to get married, which was also making me go, okay, listen, I know like you're Catholic. I'm not, like, leave me alone. I'm not just getting married because I had a baby. Like, I'm going to get married because he's the person I'm supposed to marry. Like, I wasn't buying into that and felt like, okay, still like another reason why I was like, nope, not Catholic.
Well, what was Andy's process? So initially he's like, hey, I don't know if we should do this.
Yeah.
And then, but now you're living with him and his mom. And so like clearly he came on board,
He did.
right? And
He
you're
did.
married at this point. So yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, I'll never forget this date either. Dylan was about 6 months old, maybe even 3 months. Might have been 3 months. And Andy was holding him, and he was just crying. And I was like, are you okay? And he's like, I asked you to have an abortion. And I was like, I know. And he said, I can't believe I asked you that. He's like, we wouldn't have him. And like, just the tears were just flowing because he was like, what I actually asked you was like to kill my child. Like, I didn't ask you to just like do something like really minor. Like, I actually asked you to do like something crazy and I can't believe I asked you of it. And almost was just like, thank you for like not doing that. And thank you for like giving me this gift. So that was a big point in our like relationship where I was like, okay, like this is going to be good. Like, we've got this and we're on the right track. And like, so a shift in his heart for sure occurred.
Yeah.
I mean, throughout the pregnancy it was tough because he was like still kind of trying to hang on to like the life that we were living a little bit. And like, I obviously wasn't, because I was like, okay, I actually can't do those things because I have a life that I'm caring for right now. And so, yeah, it was like a rocky step to get there, but then like he was all in. I mean, yeah, once he realized like, okay, I'm going to be a dad, he was like, okay, I'm all in, but it was like so hard, like just going through it. Like, it wasn't an easy thing.
No way.
Like at all. But he stepped on board, and then like I'll never forget, like, and every once in a while we'll talk about that now too. And I've always said like Dylan was our guardian angel. Like the Lord really brought him to us to like pull us out of the life. Like I honestly, like, had I had an abortion and had I not gone that like I had gone that route, like I don't know where I would be today. Like I really don't. Like I would have continued going down a really bad path. So I think that the Lord knew all of the little pieces that I needed to like be brought back to him. And the Lord didn't care if it was messy, and he didn't care if it was not the way that you should do it, you know? The Lord just knew what I needed, and he gave that to me. And so it's really funny because for a really long time, like, I didn't like to tell the ugly parts of my story. I was so ashamed of it.
Sure.
And then the Lord is like, no, actually, like, you need to tell people the ugly parts, because that's part of the beauty of who you are and what has led you to where you are. So yeah, I mean, Andy, he's all in, and
and that's also super Catholic, right? Oh, happy fault, right? That like the Lord has so great a mercy that plan B sometimes is better than plan A. And so like, I just, what I love about your story, Tiffany, is that it seems like the Lord just used like what he always has, like the transcendentals, like when you were pregnant, the goodness of your choice later converted Andy's heart, and the beauty you found in your son brought conversion to your heart. So beauty and goodness led to you pursuing truth. Like that's that's a story as old as time. Like the Lord, that's how the Lord moves. He says, like, and I think that that's a connecting point here too. As we were talking before, we brought you on just about just circumstances. That a lot of times we look at the worldly circumstances and we make our choices off that. You were talking about that, like your life was being defined by the circumstances. The Lord's never defined by the circumstances. He's always looking into the circumstances of how he can bring beauty and goodness so that we pursue truth, which is him. So, well, he's all the three, but nonetheless, like I see that so clearly, and it's really cool to see that. And that's why it's important to share those harder parts of our stories, because it's like, oh no, oh happy fall. Like, the darkest part of the night is right before the sun rises. Like it's it's pivotal to understand to your point, we love Jesus so much more when we actually see like, oh, you brought me through that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.